My name is George Pranski, and I am a senior partner of Pranski & Associates, and we do a very wide range of services. We provide a very wide range of services, from working with individuals to couples to companies and organizations. And when we provide those services, we teach them the principles of mind, consciousness, and thought, as uncovered by Sydney Banks, and that is our way of helping everybody that we help. The principles are an attempt to explain the most fundamental, essential nature of the human experience. That's what the purpose of them are, and what they are specifically is an explanation of how human beings are a party to creating their own life, their own experience of life. And we say there are three principles. One principle is where this comes from, the potential, the source of life, the life force, the foremost energy behind life. That's what's behind it all. And then that's manifested in us having the gift of thought. And everybody in the world uses the gift of thought differently. And we use it differently during the day. We think different things during the day. And the thoughts that we have formulate our life. And then consciousness, which is the third principle, via the senses, brings that thought to life. So in a way, the principles describe us as experience-creating machines, human beings. We are creating experience day in and day out, at night through dreams, at day through thinking. And that experience gives us a life. That's the life that we know is that life that's created by thought, mind, thought, and consciousness. That's how I would describe the principles. It's an essential explanation of what every human being experiences once they're born, and where that experience comes from.
And what is the use, or what's the benefit of people understanding what principles are? I mean, why is it a good idea for people to understand the principles?
If you don't understand the principles, you're likely to be frightened, thrown for a loop by your experience. See, so if I'm sitting here thinking about a memory that I had 5 years ago, something that happened 5 years ago, and let's say it was a very frightening memory, and I understand through the principles that it's just a memory, it's just thought, it's not real, it's not happening right now, it doesn't matter, there's no transcendent meaning to it, it's just I happen to have this memory right now, then that memory will pass uneventfully. Now, on the other hand, if I have a memory, a painful or a fearful memory like that, and I don't understand anything about the principles in the human experience, it might freak me out. I might get destabilized by that memory. And then I would continue to think about it, and as I thought about it, I'd feel worse and worse, and it could become a big unpleasant incident in my life. Now, if you multiply that times, I don't know how many thoughts people have that could be upsetting. Person who understands the principles would have a much more stable life emotionally, and the person who didn't would be thrown for a loop by their experiences, freaked out by their experiences, and would become very unstable, and life would seem very painful and frightening to them. So it's analogous to a person who didn't have any understanding of the fact of movies, who was deeply affected by every movie they saw, and they went home and it changed their life forever, that they were, the sharks were in the movie theater. It's a very different life than someone who's able to go to a movie, have the experience of a movie, have a full emotional experience of it, know that it's just a movie, and go home and enjoy their lives. And when we understand these principles, life has that kind of illusory quality that the movies have, and we're able to take things in stride very easily.
So in your mind, George, what's the difference between the three principles and everything else, meaning psychology, self-help, NLP, hypnotherapy, New Age techniques, religion? I mean, what's the main differences that you could point to?
Oh, there's one main difference, and that is that everything you've listed, every one of the 400 therapies, all the self-help things that you mentioned, meditation, all that, are all what I would call intervention-based. They all are trying to intervene after the fact of a person having an experience and try to improve or edit that experience. You see, so using stress management as an example, if people use stress management to control stress, what they do is they build up stress unwittingly, and then they release it. And the releasing is that intervention. It's a technique that intervenes on it. But if you step back from it, it's like putting a bucket under a leaky roof. It doesn't get at the cause of the stress. Now the principles, there's no intervention. When people understand the role of thought, they automatically adjust to the experiences that they're having, and they learn to think. They begin to think new thinking. They know that the principles teach you that you can think again. You can think new. So just the very understanding of the principles without any techniques, advice, or methodology, just that understanding gives people kind of an underlying feeling of well-being, and it also gives them the potential to evolve their thinking over time. So once people understand how their thinking is affecting them, they automatically begin to think new and think in a way that works better without any effort. So the principles are really like getting a suntan. If you get a suntan, you don't have to do anything but lie in the sun. Okay, and no matter what you're doing, if you're out playing ball or lying on the beach or taking a walk, you're going to get a suntan from the sun. Well, the understanding of the principles gives you this underlying well-being and this underlying benefit, whether you're on the beach or you're playing volleyball or you're at work, at business. It automatically and effortlessly protects people from their own devices to X degree.
So a common question we get is, how do you apply the principles? How do you do the principles? What do you do to use the principles as a client? This kind of question, I mean, could you talk to that at all?
Well, because the principles don't involve any technique or methodology. They're not an intervention-based approach, you might say. The bad news is that unless you gain an understanding of them, they're totally worthless. There's nothing you can do with them. They can't help you in any way. So if I intellectually understand that I'm the thinker and that my experiences be created by thought, and it doesn't look that way to me in real time, it's of no value. You see, so that's the bad news. The good news is once you gain understanding, even if it's a little bit, of our relationship to thought, our relationship changes a little bit, we will see a benefit across the board without any effort on our part whatsoever. So, for example, if I suddenly see that thought is somehow related to my experience, let's say I don't see that's all there is to it, but that thought is somehow related to our experience, and that our thinking is somewhat subjective as a result of that. I get across the board change. Opinions look different to me. My opinions don't look as etched in stone as they used to. My emotional experiences don't look quite as permanent and quite as real to me, so they're a little easier to take. My ability to understand other people by seeing that they think differently makes my relationships better. If I'm playing golf, I begin to see the role that thought plays, how crucial thought is in the golf game, and as a result, I tend to think more in a more healthy manner when I'm playing golf. I look in that direction for help. Now, all these benefits, which are broad, I did nothing to gain those benefits. The understanding did all the heavy lifting, if you will. The understanding did all the heavy lifting. The understanding created those benefits, if you will. And I didn't play no part in it. I didn't have to remind myself or anything. Once you understand that, to X degree, life looks that way, and everything else takes care of itself. The same way, going back to the movie analogy, once I understand the fact of movies, the fact that movies aren't real, they're just representation. Okay? I don't have to do anything. I don't have to keep a notebook and remind myself. I get the benefit of the movie without being permanently damaged by it emotionally. All these benefits come from in watching movies, knowing that it's a movie. And it just happens. I don't have to do it. I don't have to make it happen. Once you know, it takes care of itself on a go-forward basis without any effort on your part.